Nice to have you with us on this busy afternoon. Here's Arthur Blank. He owns the Falcons. We have a lot to do with him. He joins us every Friday during the year at the Super Bowl. There's been about 5 or 6 of them now. He obviously came on during the season. Arthur, good to have you with us. How are you?
Thank you. It's good to be here, as always.
Nice to have you. Well, let's first do the stadium. You've gotten a lot of rave reviews out of it. People love it. And the more important thing that I know it's close to your heart, and I'm going to kiss your fanny here to get us going, is the economic development around the ballpark. It's done the restaurants and the cheap prices. You've done a tremendous job making sure everybody feels part of it.
Well, I think the food and beverage pricing is important. I was once a young father, and whenever I went to a stadium or a venue of any kind, I always found that, when I went inside, I paid whatever I paid for the ticket, but then I had to, break the bank for food and drink for my family, and I've got 6 children, so that was always a big deal. And it was no one complaint that we've seen across at least the NFL, and I think it's true with baseball and basketball and soccer as well. So in any event, we made a decision. A lot of it was based on my history at the Home Depot, where we went in and basically started selling home improvements 25-30% below the market, and that turned on to being huge volume generator. And I kind of bet on that same philosophy with this, is that if we actually, put ourselves in the position of the fans and said if we price things, at street level, same level they would pay on the outside of the building, that fans would respond and buy a lot more. So our volume is up, 50-60% over a year ago. It's up per cap 16-17%. Fans are coming earlier. They're eating a heck of a lot more. By the first quarter of any game we have, soccer or NFL, they've already eaten and drank as much as they did in the entire game.
Oh, really? You do the studies on that?
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. So it's been a great success, and it's one of the ways that we say thank you to the fans. You can't find enough ways to say thank you to fans who you're asking to support the stadium with PSLs, you're asking to support with ticket pricing, and so you want to find every single which way you can to make fans feel, like, as we call it, welcome home. This is their home, and we're going to treat them properly.
Where'd you grow up, Arthur? You grew up in Queens?
Yeah, Queens, yeah.
Were you a Jet fan, Giant fan? Who'd you grow up with?
I started out as a Giant fan for many, many years, and then the year they got Joe Namath, I became a Jet fan.
Oh, really? So 69?
Yeah. So, but I was a Giant fan when I was younger all the time.
58 championship game you remember pretty well?
Yes, I do, yeah. The Giants had a great team consistently.
Oh, 56 to 63. They were great. They were in a championship game every year.
So that's, people ask me, what are our goals in terms of the Falcons? Our goal in terms of the Falcons, obviously, want to play in the Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl. But when you guys have your conversations when it gets into the summer and early fall about the 5 or 6, 7 teams that are really going to be competitive at the end of the year, we want to be in that mix. And we know it's single game elimination, injuries are a factor, et cetera, but we want to be part of that discussion.
Did you think the Jets were going to beat the Colts in 69?
Despite Joe Namath's, guarantee, I didn't think so.
They were an 18-point favorite. Why would you?
That's right. Yeah, and the Colts had they had a great team, and the Jets played well on defense, and they scored enough, and it's good.
How long were you trying to buy a team before the one you got in Atlanta?
I really wasn't trying to buy the team. It came when I was still running HD. It came across our transom, and I met with the Rankin Smith, who was the owner of the team at that time, and Rankin was doing fine. He just said, well, someday if I ever passed away, you'd be a perfect owner and all that. And I said, well, Rankin, I don't know if I'd want to do that or not. I said, but, I love sports. I played football in high school and love competition. I love the NFL. I watch all the time. And so if you ever have an interest, give me a call. So several years later, sadly, he passed away. The estate got settled. So I ended up dealing with his one son, who was running the franchise, who's now a very good friend, Taylor Smith. And so over a period of 9 months, we ended up making the deal happen.
Oh, what position did you play football in high school? What position did you play?
I was a cornerback, and you're not going to believe this. I was a defensive end.
Oh my God, a light one.
I know.
Andy Robustelli was a light defensive end.
I was really light, but I was a crazy player. I didn't have any regard for my body, so I'd throw it all over the place and what have you. So
was your father a big sports fan?
My father was a big sports fan, but my father was a great runner. He went to Columbia University and held the New York City record for the mile and for the 100-yard dash at the same time. So
Did he really?
that's
Short distance and long distance.
that's like unheard of in sports today. And then my dad unfortunately passed away when he was 44. I was 15. So
oh wow.
I know, yeah, I know. But so sports has always been an important part of my life, and I love competition, whether it be competition at HD or what we're doing today with, the Atlanta Falcons or Atlanta United, our soccer franchise, or in our PGA business, which is the number one golf retail in America today. We operate Mountain Sky, which is the number one rated guest ranch in the country today. So, we like to be, the Mercedes-Benz slogan, which is on our building, happens to be the best or nothing. Probably our philosophy of life is it is the best or nothing.
All right. Have you gotten past 28-3 yet?
Yeah, I have. I think if you don't get past it, you spend the rest of your life, and at age 75, you do acquire some wisdom. So one of the things I've acquired is that you can't live, in past disappointments and what have you. You learn from them. You learn from them, and you move on, and you get better, and you get ready to compete again. And I think that, I can look back on it now and, understand exactly why we lost the game, and the coach understands that as well. And we've made the adjustments that we need to make. We had a good year this year. I wouldn't say it was a great year.
Good year. Good year.
It was a good year, but it wasn't a great year. And I think that we understand that. We understand how we're going to get better going into next year. And I think we'll have a very competitive team again next year.
Now, I know I read something that this bothered you. It bothered me too. The Patriots have made a big deal. That's 28-3 thing is a huge deal on the rings and everything else.
Yeah.
Boy, we all learned about it on the first game of the year with the signs, 28-3, on the scoreboard, 28-3. Right. It's one thing that once in a while, but they have rubbed salt in it a little bit. Are you bothered by that?
Well, I'm not. I'm not happy with it, and I told that to Robert and Robert Kraft and. And Robert is probably my closest owner as a friend.
Is he really? You're not telling me that.
Yeah, he's
your friend.
He's more than a friend. He's very, very close. As is Jeff Lurie playing this weekend, but Robert particularly so. He said, it wasn't me. I said, well, Robert, you didn't. That was kind
You're
of.
the owner of the team.
It was kind of unnecessary. I understand 28-3. I get it, and I'd be prideful too coming back from that kind of situation and winning the game, but. But I've moved on from it. It took me a little while to get over it, like it would take anybody else as a competitive person. But you move on, and how do you get better from there?
All right, a couple of things outside the league, and you were the head of, and I had Hunt on. He said the same thing. You were the head of the compensation committee,
yes.
And Hunt was very down on him. Jerry, he was the mixed words. He was down on Jerry Jones. This should not have become a public issue.
Right.
This was a bad scenario, made us look bad. The guy's done a good job as a commissioner for us. We don't need Jerry Jones screaming and yelling. That's what he said. You ran the committee. You were the boss of that, of the compensation. You wrote nasty letters. He wrote nasty letters. I'm on your side, but I want to hear your take on the Jerry Jones fighting the Goodell with the new contract.
Well, I always say this, and I think it's true in business relationships, and it's true in personal relationships. You can disagree, and that's a healthy thing to do in life and in business and in family even. But it's never healthy to be unkind. And what bothered me more than anything about that was not really Jerry's viewpoints on issues, was that it reached a point where he had decided that he was going to threaten, potentially sue, his fellow owners as well as the league. And that's just not the way the NFL operates. It's not the best of our partnership. It's not the best of the way the owners function. We sort out a lot of problems, have a lot of disagreements. It's not often that many things were voted 32-0. So people do disagree, which is okay. It's just not okay when you make it a public arena and you twist and turn aspects of the story and the truth to make your point. That part is not okay. So I was very unhappy with that. And I saw Jerry the other night and gave him a hug. And we ended up doing the right thing for the right reasons, and we went through a complete process and total protocol beyond anything the league has ever done in their history in terms of an extension of a commissioner. We probably spoke to the general ownership group as a group maybe 5 times. We spoke to each individual owner one-on-one maybe 6 to 7 times during
so this was a thorough committee. Everybody knew what was going on.
We vetted everything. We were as transparent as you could imagine. because it was an important thing. We wanted to get input from owners, and we don't view ourselves, the committee don't view themselves that we weren't making a decision. We were there to understand what ownership really wanted, and we wanted to understand what would be fair and balanced for our commissioner, what kind of job he did. We wanted to see how could we balance things out in a way that ownership would feel more involved in the future, and Roger was completely open to that. So, I felt that Roger was very accommodating in whatever we asked for.
He gets a raw deal, Arthur. A lot of people can't stand. The media can't stand him. The whole thing with Rice doesn't seem to go away. They kind of think anybody can negotiate these TV contracts. The guy just did get $3 billion from Fox for Thursday night.
Yeah, I know.
So it's not like that. And not anybody can do that. I mean, Arthur Blank maybe can, but not the guy down the street can't do that.
Yeah, right.
He got $3 billion out of them. I mean, for some reason, he gets pounded by the media and fans all over the place, yet you guys continue to bring him back. You guys must feel he's doing a hell of a job.
Well, I think he has done a great job. Having said that, and Roger would, if he was on right now, Chris, he would tell you he's not perfect. He would tell you that, there are things I could have done better, things I learned from. I think our players are different today. Society is different today. Society is looking at things different today. In terms of player involvement, player discipline, not only players but coaches and everybody else connected to the league, owners as well. You've got a situation right now in Carolina that we're dealing with.
That's right, Richardson, who is a big supporter of Goodell.
Yeah. Yes, he has been, and he's been a great leader in the NFL for many, many years. I mean, you know that, Chris. He's
former player, the whole bit. Yeah.
So I think we're different. We're living in a different world today, and I think the league is adjusting to that. Some of it's changing so quickly. I mean, people are watching TV very differently today. They're taking their content in very differently. People ask about the ratings. The younger population today. I mean, their viewing times are dramatically different than they were when I was a younger person, and how many things they watch, for how long they're watching for, and their patience level, and all of that is changing. So, our league has to be responsive to those things. People are more concerned about, the injury rates today in the NFL, and are we changing the equipment quick enough? Are we changing the rules quick enough? Are we responsive? Are we objective in looking at player injuries? And so I think it's a much more complicated business, if you will, than it's
that when Renzel was running it 50 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So I think that Roger is a really good listener. I've worked with a lot of CEOs in my life. He's a very good listener. He's very inclusive. He works hard at trying to hear everybody in the room, and but he's also not afraid to make decisions. When decisions have to be made, I mean, he will make a decision.
Were you somewhat aghast by Davis giving $100 million to Gruden? That's a lot of money for a head coach.
It is. It is. I wasn't aghast by it. I mean, if I was Mark Davis, number one, I think John Gruden, was an excellent football coach.
And he's not Vince Lombardi, though. I mean, everybody seems to think he's this Hall of Fame coach. He's got to do a lot more to be in Hall of Fame.
No, absolutely. But I also think that going into a new market, he's gotten tremendous amount of public support. Obviously, Nevada's giving him $750 million and to help get their stadium built. And I think that he will develop, I think, a championship team there, and I also think he will help sell the Raiders. I think his personality, I think his panache, I think all that will be important to the Raiders.
And Richardson, is this going to get settled here? What can you tell me about him real quick?
I don't know. I mean, you know as much as I do, Chris, with it. I know it's, I think it was shocking news. One group was shocking too, I'll tell you, with the owners. I mean,
everybody likes him, right?
Yeah, everybody likes him, and nobody, he's not one of these owners that come in, stay out late at night. He flops in the meeting in the morning, half in, half out. But I mean, Jerry was, as straight as could be. So I'm, and I had a good relationship with him, and I was shocked.
Last thing,
yeah,
and you always
saddened by it.
Sad, yeah. Last thing is always interesting. Have you decided? I like to have fun with this too.
Yeah.
Last year, I felt bad for you. You go down in the field.
Yeah.
You're in great shape.
Yeah.
You're about to win the Super Bowl. It's your lifetime goal. You're 75 years old. I didn't even know that. You're 75 years old. Now. You're a cancer survivor.
Right.
You're going down in the field. You got 6 kids, the whole Home Depot. And you're about to win a title.
Yeah.
And then it gets taken away from you from the great Brady. I got an idea. I said this on the air. You're going to laugh. I said, Arthur, do yourself a favor.
Yeah.
When you're about to win one, upstairs in the broadcast booth, before you come back on the field. How about you almost feel like I had to be terrible on the field.
Well, it was. But, I've always, it's interesting, Chris. I've always done that you know, in all the 23 years I was at HD, I probably spent 50% of my time walking the floors of the stores, being close to our associates. You say, well, what does that have to do with it? It has to do with it is that I never want our players to feel like I'm sitting up in some suite someplace and, you know, having a bunch of drinks and whatever else. I want them, win or lose, at the end of the game, the last 6 or 7 minutes, I want them to know I'm on the field with them. I'm kind of with them.
So this is a Home Depot practice, to make a long story.
You know, it is kind of. I mean, it's a practice of being close to your associates, being close to the people, and having them understand that you're in this together with them. Whatever the score is, the score is. I feel like I need to be down there, and they're just conscious. They're aware of the fact I'm there. I'm not, you know, inside the 30, 35-yard line, but they know I'm there with them emotionally, and I think that means a lot to me.
Arthur, always a pleasure.
Good seeing you.
You know, I like to have you on. You know,
thank you. I enjoy seeing you, my friend. Take care.
Take care. Okay, Arthur Blank, 228. Let's get are we doing an update at 2:30? I don't even. Does he have it? Are we ready to go with it? We are. Justin Shackle's got a sports bite. Mad Dog Unleashed.